different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, what's happening, Joseph?
Not a lot, man. How about you?
Can't complain. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm glad that I made it today, and I'm glad that you're here.
I'm glad I'm here, too.
Almost didn't happen.
It almost didn't?
Almost didn't. Don't want to talk about it, but everything's fine.
Then why bring it up?
I just wanted to let you know. I think that our listeners and our
drama aspect.
I think that our listeners and our viewers deserve a little bit of, I hate to use the word transparency. That word has been ruined for me in this industry.
Yeah.
It's been fucking destroyed because you know what? When people talk about transparency, they are in general bullshitting you in this field.
They're not very transparent.
No.
In general.
Total cock and bull story. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. If you're new to the broadcast, this is the Hair Loss Show. Been doing the program for about 24 years in some format or another. I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of a couple of well-known books that have been in print for about the same amount of time, since 1998, the first being The Bald Truth, the first complete guide to preventing and treating hair loss, and of course, The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I just saw a new stat that was, I think, basically derived from the American Hair Loss Association, but it's now thought that 80% of the U.S. population will suffer with some degree of hair loss before the age of 65. So 2/3 of men by the age of 35. 2/3. And 40% of hair loss sufferers being women. Now, I was watching, and I watch Rogan when I'm working out, and they do a program, I think it's Save Our Parks, 4 comedians get together, including Rogan. And I think that is just a prime example of the hair loss demographic. 2/3 in that room, 3 out of 4 people have significant hair loss already.
It's usually, when he's got a bunch of guys in there, they're usually all losing hair, except for like when Tim Dillon's in there. He's got a lot of hair.
Currently.
Almost always, everyone else has some degree of loss, either minor or aggressive.
Well, I'm not going to mention the names of who has the loss. You know the obvious ones, and I don't want to freak the other 2 guys out. But one of those 2 guys already has a significant amount of loss, and the other one is talking about people's hair quite a lot, which is a sign that he's concerned and noticing that his hair is changing. He's a younger guy.
Yeah.
So I really think that is a really kind of good representation of our world. If I sit down in a restaurant and I start to Norwood clock, it's not like, oh, poor guy, that guy's losing his hair, or, oh, there's another one. It's like everybody in the fucking restaurant practically has some degree of hair loss. And now, I mean, you're not just Norwood clocking, you're Savin clocking. You're looking at women, young girls with significantly widening parts that I am seeing has become more prevalent than in any time in the history of humankind.
I see it all the time. All the time.
And they're not even
Especially
sure
where I
what's
live.
hitting them yet.
lot of Asians, a lot of Chinese in my community, and I see it. It's more prevalent, I believe, with Asian women, for whatever reason. Like I haven't delved into that, but I see it daily when I go to the grocery store, when I go wherever. But yeah, I am noticing it more often as well.
It's the fucking soy, yo.
It's the soy, absolutely. It's the fucking soy, yo. TM, I love that one.
Anyway, so we're talking about the largest demographic of all humankind. I was speaking to a company today who I think we're going to make a select technology contributor for the Global Hair Loss Summit this year. They have a relatively new device coming out that I think could be a game changer for a lot of people. Not saying that you guys out there, you're going to grow a full lot of hair, but it's going to give people an option to do something that's a little less invasive and possibly help them to maintain some hair. If you're listening and you're listening to this, don't think it's something that's going to change your world, because it probably won't. But I think it's going to give people a lot of, especially women, the option to potentially treat their hair loss without worrying about having their scalp injected or potentially fucking around with their hormones and shit like that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's going to be a presentation about it at Global Hair Loss Summit.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, just the size of the market, and this company is relatively new to this particular space. And when I hear it coming from a product manufacturer who's relatively new, like, within 2 years of the space, like, you forget. Like, I know how prevalent it is, but now the world is starting to see it. And they're starting to recognize, wait a second, this isn't just a niche situation. This isn't just, what the American Academy of Dermatology used to say, there was a relatively small percentage of people.
That's amazing.
Losing their hair. It is everybody.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Spotify, give me a call, because we could help a lot of people.
The audience is there.
888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. If you have any questions or concerns about your hair loss, if you just need to vent, if you have surgery scheduled for Monday, and you're really not sure if you've done your due diligence, if you just found your surgeon, in air quotes, on your social media feed, this is the time to call. People are being fucked up every day. Thousands and thousands of people every month. Some of them don't know they're fucked up yet. They're not going to find out for a year. Some won't find out for 2. Yeah. Go ahead.
Those are the bad ones, yeah.
All right. Some aren't going to find out for 2 years, because they're going to come back, they're going to go online, they're going to start pimping out their doctors for commissions, and then they're going to have to get repair work. And then by the time they're 35, they're going to be fucked, because most of these guys are young. And I'll take your calls in a second, guys. I saw a guy that we know online, and I haven't watched his videos in a long time, and he originally had not a great hair transplant in Turkey, and then he got some repair work, and I'm looking at him, and I have to say, luckily he's much better. He's much better than he was, but it's still like, fuck, man. And this guy's giving advice. This guy took the wrong route for so long, and honestly, first of all, he's a good-looking dude, so he's fine. He's going to be fine. He could be fine for a long time. But I don't know what's going to happen to him when he's 40 years old. That's my concern for a guy like that. And that's my concern for guys like that giving advice to people his own age.
Yeah, and I'm not... It's funny you bring this up. Like, I don't want to get into names on this, but I
How's my hair,
looked
Joe?
at his channel today, and
Just kidding.
No,
You missed it.
Here.
You missed it.
It's looking good, Spencer.
Thank you.
It's looking good.
Thank you.
Now the serious stuff out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Back to my comment. I noticed that, yeah, he is looking better. He actually went to an IAHRS accepted member for some repair work.
Of course he did. That's where they all go.
Of course he did. That's where they all go. And it looks much better. It's still an unnatural result that's easily visible, but it's not nearly as severe as it was. But I'm seeing him make some decisions with his own treatments, and I think that he bounces around a little too much, and because of that, I don't think he's giving. And it's just observations. I don't think he's giving anything that he's been doing a long enough chance to be effective. And when I look at some of his some of the angles where he may not be thinking about how he's perceived, I'm seeing some darkness in his future when it comes to hair loss. And he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be in a good position, as you said, when he's 40, 35. I don't think preventative measures are working so much for him. So we'll see. I hope that's not the case, but my gut tells me that he's in a bad position.
Well, I want to make this clear. I mean, I understand where you're coming from as far as saying that, you see some unnaturalness, but I would say that to, just in case this guy's listening, to the average person, no one's going to fucking know. I've known women who I've asked them to take a look at images of some, I'm talking about bad work, and they're like, they think it's a miracle that there's hair growing on someone's head. So they're not looking at this guy and saying he's got a bad hair transplant at this point. You are an expert. We know this industry. There's a lot of guys who understand it. So I think that he's right now probably enjoying his life, moving on with his life, and I feel that he's got some good years ahead of him.
You said something really key there. I'm noticing it because I'm an expert, and I get that. We notice it because we're experts. But the average person, while they may not notice that he's had a bad hair transplant, they do notice that something doesn't look right.
Can I just try to make somebody feel good about themselves?
No, because it makes it justifies it for everyone else.
All right.
We gotta talk about this shit.
You could be the bad cop. Go ahead.
I'll be the bad cop. I'm sure he's happier than he was. No question about it. But make no mistake, when you have a bad hair transplant, I promise you, he's got people when he's talking to them, they're looking him in the eye, their eyes go up, and they're seeing that hairline, and he's seeing them seeing his hairline, and there's always going to be something in the back of his mind that's self-conscious. And so when guys in the comments section of different Instagram posts or Facebook or YouTube or whatever say, I just want some more hair. Yeah, wait until you just get that hair. And then wait till, people don't call you out so much when you have a bad hair transplant but you got a lot more hair than you used to. But make no mistake, they see something's different. They may not recognize what it is. They may not consciously be able to say, oh, he had a bad hair transplant, but I know for a fact that they understand that something's not right. There was a researcher, a doctor that's talking about this. I forgot his name. I started following him on Instagram, and he's got an analysis of how people look at things, look at people that have had bad cosmetic surgeries. He's not talking about hair transplants specifically. He's talking about cosmetic surgeries, and how
Mark Manny.
That's it, Mark Manny. And how we're programmed through evolution to recognize things that are not normal, and we may not understand what we're looking at, but we see it, and it triggers something that's negative in us when we see something that's not natural in someone. And
God, I wish I was able to see the inside of some people.
That's scary and dark. But anyway, had to say that people are noticing. They just don't realize it.
Well, anyway, I guess my concern, I wasn't here to rip this guy's appearance apart. But anyway, I get it. I understand the point. And you're not incorrect about advising these kids, But my concern is that there's a lot of advice happening, and I think that he has a good he produces, interesting content, and he's doing well and all that stuff. I just want the young guys who watch all this type of content to understand that a lot of guys are out there now online. They've made mistakes, and there's no turning back for them. So they do the best to rectify those mistakes and move forward with their lives. But it'll be very short time period for them to enjoy whatever hair they've been able to gain. Now, there are other young guys who made the right choices, who may be doing well on medication, and this shit may last them 20, 25 years. And guys, I'll take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. But, people ask me all the time, whether it's through email, in this chat sometimes, Instagram, shit like that. And, I've had people say, Spence, your hairs look the same. I've been watching you for 20 years. Your hairs basically look the same for 20 years. And I can go along with that and say, yeah, thanks. Or I can tell you the truth. The truth is I'm wearing more paint than ever. And also, what used to be an incredible, luscious donor area. I mean, I just found the picture now. Maybe I'll put it online of me in Westwood One Studios. I'm there with my dog Hunter. It was taken by common law, and it's the back of my head and the side. It is so magnificent, just the fullness of my donor area. And now I take a shower, it's completely see-through. Now, when I dry my hair and my hair is turning white, it looks good. I'm an old man. It looks pretty good. But I would say I lost at least 40% of my density in the back region over the last 20 years. Not noticeable to the average person. The hairline itself in the back, I don't want to touch myself. It's called a kanahura. But
we don't
anyway.
Want to touch yourself either.
But
just saying.
The nape of the neck used to grow very full, very thick. And that's another thing about never using nape hair. And now it's not. So I'm not saying that it's retrograde yet, but there has been a change in my 50s. And it's been, to me, significant when I see myself come out of the shower. And I did the other day, I was like, what the fuck, yo? Now, if I would have had this incredible lush donor area transplanted 10 years ago, I probably would have lost 10% or 20% of that transplant, maybe more. And I still have a good donor. Right now, if someone were to look at me, they would be like, yeah, we can definitely do a procedure, no problem. And we do a strip. And I feel very fortunate about that. But this is information that young hair transplant consumers don't fully understand. That's why it's also not a great idea to have a lot of grafts moved in a single session. That's one reason. But certainly not a good idea to have it done young. That's all I got. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Morty from Brooklyn, first caller.
Morty, how are you, man?
Hang up.
We got you, Morty.
Yes,
How you
you
doing,
do.
man?
I missed you guys last week. I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. It's so good to hear you guys. I'm sorry I missed it last week. I was actually rewatching it, and I heard people missed me, and I'm touched. So,
Yeah, I don't even remember last week.
I always miss you.
We did a show last week. I barely remember it. Was it good?
Was I even home?
I thought so.
Thank you, Morty. So what's happening, man?
Well, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to address a question that was put to me when I was not around to answer, and it had to do with FUT versus FUE and why I went FUE versus FUT. And I wanted to give kudos to Joe because Joe answered the question correctly. Joe answered the question correctly in that, for me, the procedure, the details of the procedure were secondary to the doctor. And that is basically all I'm going to say about that. For me, you want to make sure that if you're going to do this, first of all, you try to live your life without it, go through the medication route, and get in front of smart people like Joe and Spencer, and interview doctors like you're interviewing them for a job, right? Let's say that, because that's basically what you're doing, right? You got this job to come do my hair. Something like if you're going to interview a contractor to work on your house. You know, you're going to want to interview these people, check them out, see what they're like, see if you like them, see if they rub you the right way, and you know, don't think about that in any other terms besides what
I wasn't going to say anything because I know you get highly offended by sexual humor.
But essentially, you're going to want to make sure that you're going to want to see more than one or two doctors. You're going to want to see them face to face. You're going to want to see the results of people who the doctors have worked on face to face before you commit. And the main thing is once you've done that, the details don't matter. FUT, FUE, you know, whether you're going to use sharp punches or dull punches, or you're going to use you know, implanters, or you're going to implant with forceps, or you know, all of these details do not matter as much as the doctor and what you're going to know about what the doctor is or is not going to do.
Look, man, I believe if the doctor and staff know what they're doing, they can get you to where you need to go with a fucking, you know, hammer and chisel if need be. You know, these guys are all, I mean, the tool is a tool. Say it again?
That's a little scary.
Yeah, but I mean, my point is, you know, this guy comes in, he's like, you know what, I'm going to use this $7 handheld punch. I'm going to use, you know, 30 of them throughout the surgery, or 100 of them throughout the surgery. This is the device that I choose to use, where I believe I get the best possible results. We have no denuded grafts, you know, there's no transection, and my team and myself are great with this. That's it. There are people out there that can do it, and they're doing it every day.
Mm-hmm. And that's the reason I went with what I went with. Now, before I made the decision, did I have a lean toward FUE versus FUT? Well, I think anybody who looks at an FUT scar will lean toward FUE simply because, you know, the scarring is less apparent. And I've shaved it down, and my scarring is less apparent. That's what I'm going to say. But again, I also needed a lot of grafts. Joe actually mentioned something else, which is to say that my donor area was borderline. It was low average. It wasn't like, you know, I didn't have a forest growing up there. So, you know, it needed to be very careful whatever got done. The point there is that if you know, and again, it goes back to making sure that you're judicious about how much you're going to move and how you're going to move it and from where you're going to move it. But you want to make sure that if you're going to do FUT, that the density around the FUT area is going to be such that you're going to be able to grow hair over that scar to cover it over. If your hair is just, you know, if your hair is not all that dense in that particular area, there is a risk that scar may become more prominent.
Of course.
You know, so I mean, is it possible that was the reason? Maybe, but ultimately it came down to the doctor for me.
Well, listen, you happen to choose the right surgeon for you and the right team.
Yes.
I have to say that.
Absolutely.
And I would like to say this more often, but it's relatively, you know, it's rare. You're one of the 1/3 of the guys out there who have their first hair transplant and who are satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's rare. I mean, 7 out of 10 guys are at a minimum dissatisfied with their first hair transplant.
Yeah.
So you lucked out. You're welcome.
I could say that I lucked out, but I know the odds, and I got educated, and I came in with my eyes open. I made sure that, you know, I had the doctor that I liked. I got the advice that I liked from the people that I respect, namely you two guys. And I spoke to about, I think it was 6 different doctors before I settled on them. So, you know,
you're going through all of them. I remember you contacting us, and I remember when you initially contacted us, we were like, look, you're not a fucking candidate for surgery at this point. And you really, you know, you really struggled with it. You really wanted to have more hair, and I get that. And you understood after a while the entire scope, all the possible pitfalls, and you fucking pulled that trigger. And it worked out for you. And I'm really glad. And I can tell you that I'm sure Dr. Cole is like, whew, I'm glad that shit worked out for Morty. Because this guy's a fucking yenta.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, I can't help. It's my background, Spencer. You know how that goes.
I get it, and I appreciate it. That's why we like to have you on the show.
So, Morty, I need to ask you, it's been 2 weeks since you've been with us. What's the result like so far? Where are we? How many months has it been? And what's your honest assessment of the result?
So surgery day was November the 23rd and 24th. So we're coming up on a year pretty soon. We're getting there. We're at like month 10 and change. On the positive side, naturalness, 1,000%. People who didn't see me for a while didn't even ask about it, which I thought was odd. These are people that I thought knew what I looked like. I didn't see them for a year, year or so. And you run into them and like, hey, what's up? Not a peep. Zero.
People forget. You might have gotten questions about did you shave your mustache or your beard, or did you lose a few pounds, or did you stop wearing glasses? Those are very common questions.
Or they're all talking behind your back saying that Morty got a rug.
There's that too.
Right now? Spencer, what'd you say?
I said, or they may be speaking behind your back saying, hey, I think Morty got a rug. Which would be a compliment.
I guess. I don't think the thing looks like a rug. That's the thing. It's the naturalness is really. I'm used to it now, but I still remember when the stuff started growing in, and I'm just looking in the mirror and doing double takes in the mirror, which is just, that's still almost comical, to be honest. So that's number one. The naturalness is definitely A+. The density is one of those tricky areas that it's all about the angle. So if you're looking at me head on, I look fine. If you look at me, if you put a camera over the top of my head, it looks thin.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody who's got diffuse thinning through the front. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And how well work in elevators.
And that's true. Elevators are the worst. But a guy at your stage of hair loss, Morty, where you've been through, how long you've been bald, and given that you can look at yourself straight on, or take a picture straight on, and it looks like you have hair, it's a fucking miracle, man.
No, dude, I do not belittle that one iota, and I'm so impressed with the result. A lot of people who know what hair transplants look like. I have a neighbor. She's a thespian. She's in the theater. She's done some commercials. She's nothing. She's not like
her
really
choice,
like
her life.
or anything.
Okay.
Yeah. But the point is that she's been around a lot of people who have had work done. She actually told me that her first boyfriend had work done, and she herself was amazed. She's like, wow. She's like, your hair looks a lot better than my ex-boyfriend's hair does. So, that's
yeah, because her ex-boyfriend's hair looks like a hair transplant, like most people, even in today's market. Sadly, it's getting worse in today's market.
Especially in today's market.
Yeah. So, I mean, you are, again, you're essentially one of the anomalies. I'm not even joking. I don't even know. And I was looking at applications today, and I do that on Fridays, and I'm looking at these people who are applying to the IHRS, and I would love to take their checks. These people have checks in hand. And I go and take a look at their work, and while it's fine, it's more than acceptable online, I know what to look for. And it's like, can't take this guy. They can't take this guy. Can't take this guy. And these are newer docs who are learning. They're going to like the ISHRS conferences, and they're learning from these, these old school butchers, in my view. And they're coming out with this fucking certificate thinking that they know what the fuck they're doing. It's just amazing to me, man. And it's only getting worse. So you really lucked out. And we're not saying that every doctor that we discuss or that are part of the IHRS is going to give everyone a fantastic result every time. It's just not the case. But in general, at least you have a fucking fighting chance. You made the right decision. And I got to tell you, I've only seen pictures of you. And like I told you, I'll never meet you in person, Morty. Nothing personal. But I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But I can guarantee it probably looks even better in person.
It does, and with the right finessing, I can even make it so that it doesn't look diffuse thin. You know, so
well, listen.
You know, if I get the right gel in it and whatever, it looks nice, and you know, my hair's got a nice wave to it. It's actually it's Jewish hair, so it's going to have a little bit of a curl to it.
And I know you don't want to do it, but if you put a little concealer in there with the right gel and the right hairspray, you can probably double your surface area.
I wouldn't doubt it.
You know.
So you know, I mean, and the other thing that's also nice is, I mean, the area that didn't get done, which is the rear part of the mid scalp. The top of my hair is long enough that I can comb it back over, and even that doesn't really show much. So you know, like I said, it's a huge improvement. Don't regret it one bit.
Well, you're a testament to even high Norwoods. If you make the right choices and you understand exactly what you're getting into, you could have a successful hair transplant. And I am surprised that you are not out there on all of Dr. Cole's social media showing his work off. Well, because you are a testament to
that's really on him, I guess.
Real possibilities.
Yeah, that's really on him. I know that Dr. Cole and I have talked about doing a touch-up, and I'm game because I think that's kind of why he's been reticent.
Of course, you're game because it's fucking free.
Yeah. The touch-up?
Say it again.
Well, I don't know. The touch-up? I don't know. I don't know whether you should. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Anyway. So is it a touch-up because he's not happy with some areas, he wants it to be thicker, or is this round 2 to address the crown?
Well, so the crown is, you know, I'm not going to lie, the upper part of the crown is a little weak, but there's hair there, and it's hanging on. I don't think it's worth touching, to be honest. Given the fact that I can comb the front over the mid-scalp, if I get a little bit in that mid-scalp area, then I can comb down over that, and I'm fine with that. Do I want a little bit more thickness in the front? You know, if the donor supply would allow for it, and can I get that, like that little area behind, you know, that little area between the crown, you know, that rear part of the mid-scalp, can I get that where the density is about even with everything else that's there? That would be awesome. You know, I'm not going to lie. But the flip side is if the hair ain't there, I'm good.
We're gonna let you go. We appreciate the updates. It's always good to hear from you, and I'm ecstatic for you, man. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. There is one other thing that I need to bring up because a friend who I've made through this whole process, he is somebody who actually did call the show a few months back, and he got on finasteride for 4 months, and he got a very good result. He gained some new hair and all the rest of it. But then what happened was he went to his doctor and he got some blood work done, and he got frightened because he saw he was very paranoid about finasteride to begin with. He got a very, very low dose. I think it was like 0.1%. So it's like, you know, Dr. Cole typically goes with 2.5% for his topicals. He got 0.1. He's got like a really, really insanely small amount. But it did clearly affect his bloods in some way. He did notice that his tests went up about, I think it was about 12%.
His testosterone?
It didn't bother him. Yeah, exactly. His testosterone went up by about 12%.
And how is that a problem?
Well, that didn't bother him. His DHT went down, so it was actually high. I think it went from 65 to like 32.
Right.
I think that's nanograms per milliliter. I don't know what the measurements are, but I think that's memory serves me. So he went from being high DHT to normal DHT. So clearly there was some systemic, entry of finasteride. But the thing that really pissed him off was his total estrogen went up above normal. And he freaked the fuck out. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to become a woman. I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that. And that's it. I'm stopping. I'm this. I'm that. I'm like, dude, just let your roll. I wanted to bring it up because you guys are experts, And I can guarantee you that somewhere in your past you've heard a story like this, and I wanted to see if you're willing to address it.
Well, a lot of guys would, if they felt that they were having, aromatizing effects, basically the enzyme that converts DHT into estrogen, which is not that common.
Estradiol, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me.
No problem.
What was I going to say? You just made me lose my train of thought, man. So a lot of guys will take aromatase inhibitors, or they be prescribed aromatase inhibitors. Unless, and again, I'm not a physician, unless he's actually noticing a change in his body, gynecomastia, lowered libido, which is unlikely since his testosterone has risen a little bit, 12%, which is significant. His body would probably just normalize in time. How long has he been on it? 3 months?
That's what I told him. He was on it for about 3-4 months, something like that.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is that he was a hypochondriac to begin with when he called, and like he was fighting tooth and nail not to take it, but he was also obsessed with his hair. So I was like, dude, you're doing the safest possible thing. You're taking the lowest possible dose, and you're taking it topically.
Right.
Right. But in the end, he had an effect which upset him, and he's
And actually, the slight raise in estrogen could actually be a little protective as well. So who knows?
Yeah.
If he's not having a problem with his dick, and if he's not getting, if he's not growing tits, and he doesn't seem to be losing, he's still able to. He's having no problems with his beard, right?
No.
Then he should talk. He should actually see an endocrinologist, another one, and ask about these possible effects.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Yeah. Now, the thing of it is that he just went cold turkey. And I was like, dude, if you're going to go cold turkey, you're going to get some stuff happening. Because I know that going cold turkey on these things is typically not a good thing to do. Number one. Number two is that if he is going to get more tests to see, what's really going on with his estradiol, if he goes cold turkey, he's not going to be able to see what the stuff was doing because it gets out of your system pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
From what I understand. So, yeah.
Well, listen, that's it. That's his choice. And, you have to live in your own head. And if it's something that he can't deal with, then, that's it. Now, do you think he's the type of guy that once he starts losing more hair that he's going to reconsider it?
Probably.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But I know a lot of people like that. And usually, this is the way the story usually ends. Guy gets on, whether it's usually oral finasteride. They either have the thought of adverse side effects, they do blood work like this guy, they cold turkey, they get off, they begin to lose hair either immediately or sometime down the line. They wait 6 months to a year, and they're like, holy shit, I didn't realize how much hair I would lose. And then they get back on it, and it affects them in the same way, except now they have less hair to work with, and there's a chance that they're not going to be able to regain the hair that they lost.
And that's exactly what I told him.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you come off of these things is that you go down to where you would have been 4 months, 4 months after not taking it. And it can kick you into an effluvium because your body is not used to the change in hormones.
Right. Dude, you're gonna have to rip my Proscar out of my cold dead hands before I stop using that shit. Sure. I could have a line of doctors telling me you probably want to get off it at this age. You're having a little higher estrogen than normal. I'll be like, give me something else. I'll combat it somehow.
Well, I mean, taking an aromatase inhibitor. I mean, first of all, there are aromatase inhibitors that are medicines. Well, and then there's also natural aromatase inhibitors you can look into.
That's true.
So it all depends on the degree of aromatization that you're dealing with. You know,
there's thousands of guys here on Reddit and whatnot, who are taking fucking steroids, who are dabbling with Deca and Dianabol and aromatase inhibitors and Proscar, and they're on a million different drugs. If this guy wants to find out some information, he can read about it. And I'm not advocating that he gets on aromatase inhibitors, especially if it's a relatively low increase in estrogen, in his estrogen levels, which could level off.
Yeah. Well, I can speak to my own initial experience. I had some initial side effects when I first got on. I remember talking about ropes. Remember we were talking about ropes? Well, I got my ropes back. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's good for you, man. Well, I haven't had ropes in 30 years. And you know what? I don't miss them. I don't need to be shooting ropes. Everything else is fine. All right, Marty, we're going to take some more calls. Thank you so much for the call. I hope your friend is okay and doesn't end up going through an effluvium. There's a chance that he will be. And then he'll just move on with his life and, maybe be comfortable in his own skin.
That's what I told him. He's married. He's got a kid. He's got a successful business. Just whatever. I hope you're listening. Anyway.
All right, buddy.
Guys, take care.
Take care. Thanks for the call. Bye-bye. You can't just sit there and let me say estrogen.
You can't bring up the whole estrogen thing and not make it a whole discussion.
Morty's got to get all fucking scientific on me and shit.
Well, you heard him talking about aromatase inhibitors. It's like, look at the big brain on Morty. He's all grown up.
888-659-3727.
He wasn't talking like this 2 years ago.
No. Boy's all grown up. All right, let's see this.
He's all grown up.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Oh, yes, it's John from the Bay Area. I've called you guys a few times before. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. And so you hit the nail right on the head, Spencer, when you said being comfortable in your own skin, man. That's like, but anyway, so I'll get to the point. I know I've called you guys about the celebrity FUE. And Joe, I know you're great too. Your website, the whole thing is amazing. The celebrity FUE,
Hi,
the
John,
no shave
thanks.
FUE. Oh yeah, no. Hey Joe, you guys. Hey man, you guys are so awesome, and plus you guys are really entertaining. You got a great show. It's fun to listen to. I think it's really an amazing show that's under the radar, and it's really, man. I think you guys. I can't believe you guys aren't like syndicated on radio with the whole. But anyway, although one thing I would say, though, it's more than a men's show. It can be a men's and women's show, too. I know in the beginning, when your intro, you say the show for men, but it could be men and women, too.
Well, you're right. You're right about that. First of all, I appreciate all the compliments. Just so you know, because you're relatively new, the show was syndicated on radio for like 9 years, coast to coast. We were on XM satellite radio. And then when that ended... I decided to do the show through a live streaming service just to kind of test it out. And I essentially retired in 2009. And it was guys like Andrew Zarian from the Guys from Queens Network who said, hey, let's air the show on our network a little bit. And I let him do it. And then Joe came to me and he's like, can we do the show on my channel? I said, sure. So at this stage of my life, I just kind of flip on the camera and see what happens. But yeah, we got a lot of opportunities to kind of get back out there in a bigger way, and I have a lot of energy left, so I think we'll do it.
If you got a syndication offer, would you consider taking that if it came to that, or would you seek that out in some way?
Here's the issue that I have online. The online world is difficult for me because I can't accept advertising dollars from services that just run ads over my show. So when I was on the radio, I was able to dictate, and that sounds like a fucked up word, but I was able to request the advertisers and say, look, these are the only companies that I would recommend to a family member or to any of my listeners. So these are the people that I would like to advertise. And we were able to charge a premium for that. So if someone was, charging, say $100, we'd be able to charge 10 times that for the same time slot because these guys were chosen to be on the program, and consumers understood that. Can't do that here through the main networks online. However, with that said, we do have an opportunity now with Maxim, which I was just in touch with them today, as a matter of fact, they want to syndicate the show, and they're willing to run the program without any advertising. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, congratulations. As somebody who also, I had a radio show for 2 years, some years ago, on a major station up here in the Bay Area. Actually.
What station?
I'm probably giving myself away a little bit. It was a sports station. It was a sports talk station.
Okay, cool.
It was a legal sports talk show I did. Oh yeah, the biggest mistake I made was not getting an agent. If I had gotten an agent, because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sure you know a lot more than me. You had a long career in radio, but I mean, an agent, somebody to really guide me through it, as well as TV, is to get an agent. I don't know. You may have an agent, you may not need an agent.
I'll tell you.
That was the mistake I made.
I'll tell you a secret. And anyone, this is like the history of the show. For a very short time, I was paid by CBS Radio, who essentially licensed my program in Los Angeles. And they were running ads that eventually they agreed to not run the ads that I told them they shouldn't run. And then they started to run these ads, and they used to run ads around the broadcast. So I said, I can't do this. This is not what I do. So I said, I'd be willing to broker the time. And they're like, well, you're not selling anything. How are you going to broker the time? I said, well, just tell me how much the fucking time is, and I'll figure it out. So they said, okay. And it was exorbitant for most people. But I said, I can make this happen. So I brokered the time, and I used that model, and I took that across the country into 22 different markets. So I owned everything.
Wow.
So you didn't need a fucking agent. And what used to make me laugh back in the day is like the so-called real talent on KLSX here in Los Angeles used to look at the Bald Show as kind of like a joke. And I was just like, I just kept quiet. I'm like, yeah, you guys got to work fucking 5 days a week for fucking peanuts. I get to own everything. And I essentially don't have to worry about the HR department. I don't have to worry fucking about program directors. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's the ultimate in radio. That's the ultimate, Spencer. When you say, and I'm getting off the subject a little bit, when you say syndicated, so is Maxim offering you a syndication on satellite radio or terrestrial radio, or what do you mean by syndication? What do you mean by that?
All I can say is that they're going to be, they're willing to put our content on their digital assets, and they're also willing to work with the American Hairloss Association in their print assets as well. So the show, or parts of the show, segments of the show will be on their digital assets in time, probably in a couple of months, and then we'll take it from there.
Wow. I hope you guys don't get too big time, and then you lose that, what you have now, that quality you have now. I hope the show doesn't change.
How can it change? I've been doing this for 24 years, man. I've held out I've turned down a lot. Nothing's going to change.
All right.
So what's up?
That's good to hear.
Joe's getting bored. What's up?
Okay. All right, sorry about that. So, all right, so I talked to you guys before about the celebrity FUE, the no-shave FUE. And for one thing, getting on a plane, I know Morty with Dr. Cole, and he's great. It seems like everybody I know who travels, who gets on a plane, who goes a long ways or across the country gets COVID. I prefer not to go on a plane. I'm up here, and so I wonder, and I know I run these by you. I know you don't like to talk about specific physicians, but up here in the Bay Area, Dr. Mojave, and the reason why he has a video, he did Joe Buck, the sportscaster, who apparently has had 7 hair transplants, who wrote his book.
I'm going to give you some advice. There's a doctor that's actually moving to the Bay Area. He's starting to work for a new clinic now. His name is Dr. Paul Rose, who is one of the best in this industry. This guy he's a founding member of the IHRS. This guy, he was one of the first guys. He worked with John Cole many years ago and helped to co-invent what was then called the FIT technique, which is a form of FUE. This guy knows it all. And I do know that he's going to have a good staff. I'm not exactly sure when his first day of surgery is going to be. But you can contact...
So he's coming up to the Bay Area?
Yeah. Go to iahrs.org, and you can see his new address. And he may say, look, we're not going to be completely ready to perform surgery for another month or 2 months. But this guy knows his shit. He also knows how to utilize his staff correctly, and he would be completely hands-on in a case. In
I've never heard you guys mention his name before.
Well, the guy's been with us, and he was actually one of the first doctors, one of the first 11 doctors I wrote about in The Bald Truth, way before I founded the IHRS, or the American Hairloss Association.
Okay. Because I know you say some of those older doctors aren't as good now. I know that's kind of some of the theme you use. Some of those guys,
that's true.
Older guys who And so that's why I'm surprised to hear. So that's why I get mixed
nothing to be
messages
surprised
sometimes.
about. This guy evolved. He invented. He created. He went along with instead of just kind of being old school and trying to stick to his guns and not change with the times and not get better. This guy helped to lead the way. And he's
I'll go
very.
ahead and say, like,
Go ahead.
Like I don't work with Dr. Rhodes. I've known him probably since I first met him in 2004, and I've watched his career from a distance, off and on. And
Ethical guy.
I don't work with him. I don't work with him at all. And I will say, on the record right now, that once he's in San Francisco, you've now found your premier hair restoration surgeon in that region, bar none. When it comes to naturalness,
And that's
when it comes to experience, and when it comes to
Being appropriate.
sound decision making, like he knows what he's doing, and he's not going to put people at risk any more than they are at risk at just having a surgery. He doesn't make stupid decisions. He doesn't push you to have something that is unnatural. He doesn't. He's going to be a huge benefit for the Bay Area. When it
And
comes to hair
honestly, he's been around for so long. He doesn't need the money. So
Do you think he's coming to the Bay Area because there's not a lot of good people up here? Do you think that's why he's coming up here?
I don't know. I think he had a good opportunity to go to the Bay Area. He was working in Miami for many years, and I mean, this guy is like, in any circle, he'd be considered one of the best of the best.
Is that Rhodes or Rose? How do you?
Rose, Rose. Dr. Paul
Okay,
Rose.
well-
Go to iahrs.org, and you can find him.
Okay.
Find his information. You can find out where he should be. I think he already started working there, and he's building his own team in the Bay Area. I think he's using some staff that he's already worked with in the past. But he's a great guy to have a consult with. And if he says he's ready to perform surgery, it's not because he needs to do the surgery. It means that he's got his staff together and they're ready to rock.
That's why you guys are the best. See, you know this stuff. That's why you guys are so invaluable. Now, do you think would he do the no shave FUE? I mean, do you think he'll do something like that not that many doctors do? I mean, I love Dr. Daniel, like you recommended, but man, all the way in Georgia, I'm just saying.
No, I don't think he's a huge fan of no shave, but I could be wrong. I'm sure that he's dabbled in it, but I do not know for sure if that's something that he does on a regular basis. To tell you the truth, I don't think he does, but he may do a couple of cases a month. I'm not sure. He worked in a practice with two other great surgeons, so it's possible that he's seen it in his practice. It's possible that he's, dabbled. But if that's what you want, Dan Daniel does this every day.
I know, and he does his.
I'll go ahead and say that Dr. Rose is now working based on the website in San Francisco. He's I don't know if he's in. I think he's in Walnut Creek. Working.
Okay, that's the best.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and plug the clinic just to tell you who to look for. It's Gladstone Clinic in the Bay Area.
Okay.
They got 3 locations. They do other things. They do other cosmetic procedures, but they pulled in Dr. Rose specifically
for hair, to build a hair practice.
The hair guy for their practice. So it's not one of these situations where you got a doctor that does a little bit of hair, does a little bit of boob, does a little bit of butt, a little bit of lip. He only does hair.
Now these guys are doing this is a dermatology practice doing regular derm. Paul Rose is a dermatologist, but they wanted someone specifically. They wanted to get into hair. They didn't want to just buy a device and go at it and hire techs. And they wanted to find somebody who really understood how to build a practice and to do it right. And that's unusual. So I would say that if you are committed to staying in the Bay Area and you're willing to wait, have a consult with him, ask him what his thoughts are. But if you are committed to having a no-shave FUE, then I don't think he's, at this point, from everything I know, I don't think he's the guy to go to.
I just wouldn't want to shave my head, and I don't want the scar. I mean, so that and Daniel does it. Dr. Cole does it too, and some other people do it too. I mean, and then based on
so get on a fucking plane and have that done if that's what you want.
Everybody I know gets COVID, Spence. Half the people I know who get on a plane across the country are coming back with COVID.
And what's going to happen?
I mean,
You think you're going to drop dead?
And you got COVID. I know, but But then you got COVID. I mean, I don't know.
Have you had it before? Have you had it once?
No, I have not.
I just had it.
I know.
Just get it and get it over with.
Come on.
Just get it and get it over with, man. Well, I mean, it's inevitable. You're going to get it sometime.
Look, at some point you're going to get it, and that's the truth. And I'm not saying to get on the plane and get it. And I'm not. Listen, you're going to have a great guy. You have a great guy right now in the Bay Area. At least you could have a consult with him. You can talk about your concerns. You can say what that you listen to the program. Talk about the advice that we gave you. Talk about the other doctors you're considering. He's a really honest dude. He'll be he'll be up front with you. He'll be like, yeah, you know what? I may not be the right fit. But at least
the guy Dr. G in San Francisco, he does it, and Mojave did Joe Buck the broadcast, and so Dr. G, I don't know if you know him,
dude,
in San Francisco.
I'm not going to say anything about anybody except I'll talk about the people that I know can help you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's what. And what is that statistic again that you gave to Morty about what percentage of people are actually satisfied with hair transplant? You said 30%?
Currently 7 out of 10 guys, at least who contact us through the American Hair Loss Association and the IHRS combined. And it's usually, IHRS has much higher numbers of satisfaction. So I can't even imagine, because I combined those numbers, it could be even less than this. But about 7 out of 10 guys and women who have hair transplant surgery today range from being dissatisfied, meaning that maybe they had unrealistic expectations or they wanted more density, all the way to being disfigured after their first surgery.
That's a scary number. That is a scary. You walk in there, my God.
And you also have to understand that we're also talking about some of these numbers are coming from the IHRS, where the IHRS percentage is much better. So it could be like 2 out of fucking 10 people are satisfied. I don't know.
I mean, who would do it? Who would do something like that? Would you take that risk unless you were maybe like Morty or somebody like that? If you were totally bald and young or something, I could see it. But who would? What? That's the problem with something like this. If you're older and you just want to look better.
Yeah, but here's the point. What we try to do is provide you with a resource where those numbers aren't the stats from that resource. So if you go and if you do your research, you go to the IHRS, you have a fucking fighting chance of having a really great result. And God forbid if something goes wrong, it most likely will not go as wrong as if you go to one of these fucking pop-up clinics. And at least you will have recourse and you will get help.
Yeah. Because they said there are side effects with the scalp and blisters and itching. And
Dude, you can't have surgery, my man. Don't have surgery. You're so hyper concerned about it, which makes sense, but you may not have the personality type to go through this.
I don't know. You're right. I may not, but I know, but I would love to have the result of it. I would love to look better, look younger. Who wouldn't?
What would you do? How would you react if the result did not turn out the way that you expected or that you hoped? What would you do? How would you deal with it if you have bad growth and it didn't look like much changed? Or even worse, how would you react if 50% grew and it just kind of looked odd because he had these areas of new hair, but it just kind of stopped at the 50% mark, and you could still see through it. Like it was on its way out as opposed to on its way in.
Thank you for asking, Joe. That's a great question. I thought about that. I think with my hair, I think any additional hair, I mean, because I have pretty decent hair, it's just the front, any addition would be welcome. So if I would get, you know, even 1,000, right, anything would be a positive. My fear is that it looks fake. Like somebody would look at me and immediately be able to see it, like the old-time ones, and then I'd be like a joke. I'd be like a laughing stock.
Well, then
I worry about that.
Then my advice is not to go to certain doctors that are just willing to do the surgery for you that you find locally. Go with respected clinics, well-known guys who are members of the IHRS or who work with Joe, who are obviously all members of the IHRS. There are, and I'm very candid about this, there are a handful of physicians who I would say are doing good work who have never applied to the IHRS for various reasons, either political reasons, they hate the fact that I'm a layman and I founded these organizations, or they just like, I don't need to be a part of anything.
They're jealous.
They just have a good reputation. So there are some guys out there who are not part of what we do. But the key is every doctor who's part of what we do supports the message that surgery is a last resort. And they're not concerned about me saying, don't have fucking surgery. So to me, that speaks volumes.
No, I know. I mean, better safe than sorry. And then I go back and forth. I mean, better safe than sorry. But then if you do it, I mean, then some people say, a week later, I'm fine. You know, a couple of weeks later, it's great, no problem. 2 months later, I mean, you hear these great stories. Even Morty has an impressive story. And then you feel, hey, wait a minute, maybe I could get lucky. You know, maybe I could get, hey, maybe this could really help me.
Look, in this game, a large percentage of success is you make your own luck. You do your research, you do your due diligence like Morty did. It took him years. And we initially told him he wasn't a candidate, but he really wanted to go through it. So we held his hand, and he made the right choices after learning how to do his research. That's what we're offering you. My advice right now is if you can get away with not having surgery, don't do it. Because you're it's great to be hypervigilant, but, you know, your line of questioning is a little, let's just say, my concern is that if something goes wrong, it may affect you in a way that it may not affect other people.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might.
I hate to use the word neurotic, but I'm a neurotic. I'm neurotic, so I understand neuroses. So if you're do
you have a touch of OCD?
I don't know. I mean, I have paranoid. I mean, I don't know if I don't think. I mean, I have anxiety. You know, I do have some anxiety, especially on something like this.
I have OCD. I have a movement disorder called Tourette syndrome. It's very mild, luckily. So I have no verbal tics. I got all kinds of shit going on, and I also understand this field. So right now, with the amount of hair that I have, even though I know how much better I could look if I could comb my hair straight back, or if I didn't have to paint my fucking head and wear a ton of hairspray. I know that's a possibility too. And I can get it done by, I just got a funny text. I can get it done by anyone. But I also know the possible downside. So I'd rather wait until I feel like I really need to have surgery. Or you never need to have surgery, but that I really want this surgery and that I have nothing much to lose. Then I'll consider having it done. So
I mean, it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's anxiety both ways. See, it's anxiety for all the losing hair. That causes anxiety. But this surgery causes anxiety. It's just this whole thing is anxiety. I mean, I'm just being totally honest.
Honestly, you're giving me anxiety just on the phone.
I don't mean it like that. No, but I mean it in a fun way. I'm not trying to be that. No, I'm just trying to be light. I don't mean to be that literal.
Dude, I'm fucking with you, man. I'm fucking with you. You're a great caller, and I appreciate you calling in. And, you know, you're entertaining. You're great radio. You have a lot of good questions. So I think what you're voicing, a lot of people are thinking. And that's why I like having you on.
I mean, I do my research, believe it or not. I've done some research.
I believe
I have, and I read great stories, and I appreciate the kind words, Spencer and Joe. You guys are fantastic. I mean, you guys are a blessing, a mitzvah. I mean, I read, and just sometimes you get pumped up. You read these websites and these people. I mean, it could turn their lives around. If you get a great surgery, it can be really awesome. But to actually take the step to go in there and do it when you're a little older and it's like, quit while I'm ahead. I mean, am I getting greedy? Am I getting, but I'm going to go talk to Dr. Rose. I'm going to do it.
And you know what? Those are actually really good questions to ask Dr. Rose, because he'll take a look at you and say, maybe you are a man of a certain age, and medication might be able to get you to where you need, or maybe we should do, some less invasive approaches. He did a recent study. We had it published in Dermatology Times, just a very short video about him. He tested out, I think it was 9 different PRP systems in his clinic. And he found out that it was a large percentage. I can't remember the exact number, but it was almost like 7 out of 10 of these systems were not creating real PRP, meaning that these systems are being sold to dermatologists and hair transplant surgeons and whatnot. Patients are paying $1,500 a pop or $2,000 a pop to have PRP, and the system's not even creating platelet-rich plasma. What it's creating is either platelet-neutral plasma, or in some cases, platelet-poor plasma. So guys are having their blood drawn, putting it through a centrifuge, putting it through these systems, being re-injected into their head, and nothing positive is happening.
Oh my God! You see, that's.
So listen, we're going to take some more calls, but I think contact Dr. Rose. Let him know that you called the program, and that But he'll sit down with you and ask him these questions, and they're good questions. Am I at a position where, maybe this isn't a good idea for me? Should I wait another 5 years?
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. Well, I'll keep you guys posted if you don't mind. Keep calling the program when I have more things to bring up. I appreciate it.
We'd love to hear back from you, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Take care.
Where are my pills? This is the funny thing, and this is part of my OCD, and Tourette's is actually considered a kind of it's in the OCD spectrum, I guess.
Realm.
When I see people ticking, we were talking about Rogan the other day, and it was Adam Curry, right? And
yes,
the first time he's on the air, his Tourette's was going nuts, and I'm watching him, and I'm like fucking twitching, man. I couldn't watch it. My neck starts to hurt, and I have this thing where I have to tense my pecs, and it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting. So when this guy's talking about his anxiety, I'm starting to get anxiety. Anyway, he's a great caller.
Yeah.
And he's very kind to us as well. I really like hearing guys who, they understand the magnitude of what they're considering.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to talk about it. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Eddie.
Eddie?
Hey, Eddie.
Hi. It's from Houston.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Yeah, I've called you guys a few times. Good. So I've had my, it's been about 9 months since I've had my FUT done with Dr. Wong. And it was my third time. It was my third time, so I was worried because I had a huge scar on the back. And,
wait, third time with him? I forgot your details. Third time with him or third time overall? And first time with him?
Third time overall. First time with him.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And just remind me again, where'd you go for number 1 and number 2?
Boston.
Okay, got it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I was hoping to completely get rid of the scar line, but it looked promising initially, but then after maybe 2 months, it started to spread out, and but it looks better than what it initially was, but I thought it would, be completely sealed. So So unfortunately, that's not
What do you
the
mean
case.
sealed? Sorry for interrupting, but what do you mean by sealed? Do you mean like you can't see the scar, or just
like there,
thinner?
Yeah, like there's much thinner, like or actually, I don't know. I've seen videos and pictures of people who had it like completely. There was practically no scar. It was very thin. So mine's still like maybe 3 millimeters average. Is that about right? I mean, that's a little.
Well, I don't know if it's about right, but that's pretty good.
That's about normal,
especially for your third surgery being a repair patient. How wide was your previous scar?
It depends on the area, but anywhere from, I'd say, I don't know if they really measure that. I would say at least 5, maybe 6.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's that's a big improvement then. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
What you got to understand,
yeah, no.
and let me just explain something, and this kind of goes into some questions I've been getting lately when it comes to FUT surgery. We're limited with the types of results we can get with FUT because of one overwhelming factor, and that's the scalp laxity. There are other variables to consider, like your genetics, like are you prone to hypertrophic scarring, and things like that. But when you've had already 2 surgeries, and you have a wide scar, that third surgery will not make that scar disappear. It just doesn't happen. No FUT surgery will have a completely invisible scar. You might see those issues be very difficult to detect when you're combing through the hair, and that's the whole point of a really good FUT. But if you shave it down, you will see that line, and if you don't see the line, you'll at least see a line of demarcation for the change in hair direction if a big strip was taken. But that's a different issue altogether. But in your case, this is your third surgery. You had a scar that was at least 0.5 centimeter wide, based on your own guesstimates, and now you think it's roughly 1/4 centimeter wide on average. That's a huge improvement. Huge improvement. And I'm happy to hear that, because I've been in the same situation myself. And moving forward, if you want to address it again, like I would consider that a win. But then if you want to make it even better, that's when you start looking at FUE into scar. That's what I did with Dr. Wong, as a matter of fact, the FUE part, and it works beautifully. So just want to get that out of the way. So continue your point.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That's where I was going with this. He got about just under 1,000 grafts out of closing that hairline, making it not the hairline, closing the scar. So
right.
I wonder if it would have been completely or much better if we hadn't taken out anything, or if we just sealed it. It's hard to say.
That's a great question. What were Dr. Wong's comments after the surgery? Did he say that it was tight, a tight closure, which is how he usually refers to it, or did he say that it was tough to close, or did he say that it went smooth and no issues?
Yeah, he said it looked really good, and that he would think it's probably going to be 90% better than what it was before.
Okay.
So I would say it's probably more like 70%, which is still. I mean, trust me, I'm happier than what I'm happy given what it used to look like, and plus we were able to refine the hairline. It definitely looks more dense, more natural. People can't really tell; they're like surprised. When I do tell them I had some work done.
Well, good.
So it does look better now. I think I called once before when you had, I think it was Ken Anderson on the line, on the line, or he was in your. And I don't know if he was there.
Yeah, he was in studio with Spencer, yeah.
Yeah. So I called, and we were talking about maybe doing micropigmentation, but I'm like, no, because what happens if, when you age, your hair gets gray, and then how are you going to cover that? It's like you solve one problem, but then you'll have another problem down the road. And what if I do shave my head or like get it real close?
Yeah, that's a great point. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's like, no, I don't want to go that route. I'm already past 50, and so I know I'm eventually in the next next few years, it'll start graying out. So I'm thinking maybe just doing FUE in the scar area, and then and then also doing FUE and just to fill up, get some more density in the front. So, and I think it's Raluca. Is that her name?
Raluca. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's who does the FUEs. But I can't get back into Canada now because I've never got vaccinated. I will not get vaccinated, and so I'm not going
you're screwed. It's not happening. Yeah. And I don't see that being lifted anytime soon either. That's just the way it is up here.
Yeah, exactly. So my request is I'm wondering, name 3 top doctors you think that are great at FUE. I've heard someone in the past, Dr. Bauman, but I just want to if you could give me some people to go to, because I cannot deal with another disaster. I mean, I had to. Those first 2 surgeries
was unfortunately, you have to accept that possibility with every surgery you go through. It doesn't matter who the doctor is. Like if you've watched this show, any number of times, or my channel or my website, of course, anything that Spencer's involved with, it's always a risk that the result will not be what you hope it will be, no matter who you go to. It doesn't matter if they're a hair transplant mentor recognized clinic, if they're an IAHRS accepted member. It doesn't matter what kind of letters they have behind their names or how many beautiful results that they show on the interwebs. It's always a possibility. And if anyone, especially doctor, tells you otherwise, you turn around and you walk right out the door, because they're lying to you.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Correct.
Okay. So I have to stress that, because that's one of the most important things that anyone considering a hair transplant surgery should understand. Even if they've already been through it multiple times with great results, you never know. I'm a great example of that, because after my first 2 bad surgeries, where Dr. Wong, repaired me and brought me back into the realm of naturalness, after my 3rd surgery with him, the occipital region of my donor area, the scar itself, it did stretch about the size of the one that he fixed for you. It was about actually more than half a centimeter. He revised it. He did a very specific procedure and just cut out that scar. Still got 300 grafts. Closed it up, and we didn't touch that area again ever. And then I had 2 more strips after it on the same day, a year later, where 1 strip was taken from the right and 1 strip was taken from the left. Those closed up beautifully, and they blended in with the scar in the back, so it's still 1 scar line. And then my final surgery was FUE into scar, wrapped it up, it's done. So even in a great doctor's hands, things can turn out less than stellar. Okay, so that said, that's out of the way. You're asking about other doctors.
So are you before you move forward? Before you move forward, so are you saying?
Yeah.
Should I do a complete scar revision, or just go ahead and do FUE on that?
At this point, you had 1,000 grafts. And knowing the way Dr. Wong does his surgery, it all depends on where your donor scar was. But if it was in the right spot for him to work his magic, then your scar line is now longer than it was. I mean, it's always going to be longer anyway, but it's probably a good deal longer than it was before. Is that an accurate assessment or guess?
Barely, because it was already just past the airlobe, just past, which was,
okay. So it's pretty long already. All right, fine. So that's the thing is, you got past that, and it worked. I think that moving forward, definitely FUE into scar is the only way moving forward. In fact, if you want any more surgery, I would leave that donor scar alone, except to put more grafts into it through FUE. And any more loss that you may be experiencing, I would deal with FUE only. Just my personal opinion based on my own experience and the way I've gone about things.
So when you had to do the FUE on the scar, how many grafts did you have to use?
It was I think 100. Yeah, about 100.
Oh, so that's not much at all.
No, but that's also in the occipital region only. The sides of my scalp were fine. Like the scar line healed very thin.
Okay.
No need for FUE. So it's just the back. So if you have an ear-to-ear scar and it's about 3 millimeters, you're probably looking at 250 grafts.
Okay.
It's not much.
Good. So then, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So
All right,
that's
man.
what I'll do.
Was Joe able to help you? I just wanted to get a slice of pizza. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah. So
and he baked it too.
Who you recommend?
Well, being in Texas, there's only one IAHS accepted member and only one hair transplant mentor recognized clinic, and that's Dr. Yaker. And I do know for a fact, like he's good with FUE into scar. I've seen it. I think I showed a couple of results on my video that I did about him a couple years ago. I mean, he's good at that. So it's just a 3-hour drive from Houston to get to Austin, and then you want to drive to Atlanta, you can see Dr. Cole.
Okay, so I don't mind going anywhere traveling. That's not the issue. It's more about quality, because I went to see Dr. Cooley. I went to see Dr. What's his name? And Shapiro. I forget his name.
Shapiro.
Ron.
No, but the one that's the what's his name?
Josephitis.
The one who did. Yes, Josephitis. Yes. So I saw him, and I think there might be one more. But then I'm seeing all these other names pop up, and then other recommendations you have. It's like, wow, Dr. Bowman. And I don't know who to go to now, because I don't want to risk this. I cannot go through that again. It was so traumatic for me the first 2 times.
Well, but you've had consultations with some really good doctors. You kind of used your gut.
Yeah.
And, if you go to Josephitis, he's not a member of the IHRS. He never applied to the IHRS, but he works with Ron Shapiro, who's been with us forever. Yeah. So I would say, that would be absolutely a favorable choice.
Yeah, he did. He actually did the punch outs for me from the first 2 surgeries, because it was just such a bad hairline.
Yeah.
So he only did punch outs. So we had a better hairline. So now, we're talking about maybe 1,500, 2,000 grafts. I just want to make sure, should I do it all at one time, all the grafts, as much as I can get? Or
let me ask you a question. Are you comfortable with Josephitis?
I don't know. There's something, I wouldn't say I'm against him. Just.
What's your reservations? I'm curious. It's okay. You're anonymous.
It's just that there was a lack of like there wasn't very definitive in what he thought I should do. I think maybe because the hairline was messed up. So I don't know. It was just I think it was communication, because I had to get Dr. Shapiro involved to be the mediator and kind of like.
All right.
Take over.
Honestly, shitty communication sucks. So if you feel uncomfortable, if you had any type of shitty communication, then I could understand why that would be a red flag. You want to be able to feel comfortable every step of the way, and you want somebody. Well, obviously, bedside manner isn't necessarily going to give you the best surgery. Mm-hmm. If you got the best of both worlds, you want someone who you could communicate with, who you feel comfortable with, and who does good surgery as well.
Yeah. And when you talk about Dr. Cooley, I think last week's show, you said, I think Joe said something about he seems to be a little bit more on the aggressive side, or I don't know, something.
I knew that was going to get you in trouble,
that was
Joe.
Being asked about.
Yeah, and I'm a little confused.
No, that was just being compared to a different doctor.
Yeah. I just don't want him to be too aggressive on the hairline and make it rounded or make it look like what it used to be before, which is terrible.
No. Let me clarify for anyone that's got that same impression. He's not aggressive. There are cases where he has been aggressive, but they're very.
So I was trying to say last week
for the case, for the case itself.
Yes.
Like he's actually like. Compared to the doctor, we're comparing him to Dr. Bernstein. He's very aggressive compared to Dr. Bernstein.
Okay.
Everyone's very aggressive compared to Dr. Bernstein. Full stop. Okay?
Got it.
Let's just get that out of the way. But with Dr. Cooley, like he's also very cautious in many situations, for a variety of reasons. But he just has excellent judgment, I think, with the cases that I've seen and that I've been involved with behind the scenes.
Let me ask you: did you like Dr. Cooley when you had a consult with him?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Did you like Dr. Cooley when you had a consult with him?
Yeah, I did like him.
Did he seem to? Was he able to?
Reserved.
He is reserved. He's very reserved. But did he give you an idea of what he can do for you?
This is prior to the third surgery. I talked to him. So now it's going to be a different situation because now it's going to be FUE. So I'm sure it's not a huge difference.
It can be if you go to him and he's like, "Yeah, I saw you before, but now you're really fucked up." It could be a different situation. Let's hope that's not the case.
Look, I think that at this point, like, what'd you say? You're 10 months?
Just over 9 months.
Just okay. I think at this point you need to let that donor area continue to heal, and I think that you should try to learn to live with the result as it is for at least a year before you pull the trigger. And I say that because a lot of times I see guys that they get one surgery and then it's like, okay, so start researching for the next one. Let's get this one fixed or this area fixed, and then we'll deal with that, and then we'll deal with, okay, it's a little thin over here, and we got to do a surgery after that for that one, and too often guys that are looking at multiple surgeries, they don't stop and take a breath and appreciate what they have, but also give it time to actually kind of mature a little bit as well, because that scar might change for the better.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing a scar change for the worse after 9 to 10 months. That's why I say it just doesn't happen as far as like getting wider, unless something unusual happens. But I have seen them kind of condense a little bit. They kind of contract a little bit as they're maturing. So you said that you're over 50. Your skin activity is actually slowing down. Your collagen activity is slowing down, and so you might actually wind up with a better scar 6 months from now than you have today. And I think that could even potentially change your mind about needing to have another surgery. And I understand why you're looking at this, because you've already been kind of shell shocked, and it's like this quest to get something that you didn't get in the first two surgeries. I think at this point, you just said you had 1,000 grafts to the hairline that were to refine it and to add density, and people don't really believe that you had a hair transplant anymore. Like it's kind of hard for them to believe it. And your scar is only 3 millimeters, which is considered to be good by even better hair transplant doctors. At this point, I say throw the towel in and forget about it for a while.
Yeah.
Give yourself time to kind of get used to it.
Listen, man, we're gonna jump to another caller, and I hope that Joe was able to answer your questions. I was able to actually order a pizza and eat half of it during this call.
I was just going to close off by saying, even if I didn't do anything else, I'm content with the way it is. It looks good, and I wasn't going to rush to do anything right now. I have to book it right now, because if I want to do surgery, it's going to take 6 months to a year before I can even get in with any doctor.
Yeah, but you have a decent cancellation term if you're going to be booking out that long. So just keep that in your calendar, and you can probably cancel depending on the office. I don't know what Dr. Cooley's cancellation period is, and getting a refund for, maybe Joe knows, I don't know. But I mean, if you feel
no refund and they charge you extra.
So if you feel the need to do that, I understand, just so you have that done. But you said something very compelling to me right now, that you are satisfied with what you have right now. Dude, you could really fuck yourself up going in there trying to repair that scar.
Yeah. I wasn't going to do a scar revision first, or the scar FUE. I was going to first do some more FUE for the hairline, or for the front area. the putting it in the scar would be a last resort. But I would have to discuss that with the doctor. So
you can even fuck yourself up doing some more FUE. If you are honestly satisfied with what you have now, if you can walk around, live your life, comfortable in your own skin as of today, and eventually not obsess about the scar or maybe getting slightly more density, cut that shit off now. Wait 5 years, because you are going to lose more hair in most cases.
Yeah.
You want to reserve that donor, man.
Good point. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I can live with this for right now, and in the meantime, I guess I can wait to do some more research and look what's coming down the pipeline 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely. How old are you?
51.
You could be dead in 5 years. Enjoy yourself right now.
That's why I want to do it now, get it over with. So I can enjoy it while.
Yeah, then you have to wait another year till the shit grows out, and then you're 52.
I thought I was going to say I'm doing it now so I look good in my casket.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I was just, and we'll take your calls on second caller. So hold on. I was just saying how, just from a few years ago, I noticed a change in my donor. Maybe I wasn't really looking for it, but a few years ago it was super dense, like even wet, you could barely see through it. Now, totally see through when it's wet. And when it's dry, I mean, it looks great, thank God. But, those if those grafts were moved 10 years ago, they would have been lost today. So the longer you can wait, the older you are, the more donor that you can conserve, you're going to know what you can work with in 5 years. And you may still have a lot to work with in 5 years. And then at that point, you may be like, you know what? My hair transplant has gotten a little weaker. I think my hair is getting slightly thinner. I want to add some density. And you know what? You're going to have it. It's not going to be wasted right now to implant into a scar and just to give yourself a little extra density for, when you don't really need it.
Yeah.
Just my advice. I speak to thousands of people who make this mistake, and then they regret it.
Well, that's why I call you guys, because you guys give the best advice. I really appreciate your perspective.
Okay, man. Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the call. And, if you need to talk about it more, just keep calling. We're here.
Okay.
All right.
I'm good for now.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller, what's up?
Hello.
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 Oh, it's my turn. It is my turn. Hello, guys.
It is.
It's May from Kazakhstan.
What's your name again? You just want us to call you May?
No, May. It's my name.
May.
Yeah, Kazakhstan. Maybe Kazakhstan.
I remember the call. You're the only caller we ever had from Kazakhstan, but I can't get your name. So it's M-A-I?
It's like month of May.
Okay, May. Okay, May. So what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit frustrated because all these options suggested by all these doctors are so different.
And that's why it's called the practice of medicine, and everyone has a slightly different approach.
Lightly, and the prices are kind of different. Approach is different. For instance, eugenics suggests 4 packages from from 3,000 euros, for instance, for 4.5 thousand grafts. So the cheapest one is 3,000 euros, and the most highest expensive is 21,000 euros.
I gotta tell you, Joe, good for them, man. These guys have come a long way as far as their pricing. These guys are in India, yo.
Yeah.
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 You know?
In India charging
$21,000 charging North American.
Euros.
You know what?
Euros. It's about the same now, but yeah.
No, rupees.
Would you say rubles?
Rupees.
No, rupees.
Oh, okay.
Rubles, it's Russian.
Yes, I know.
Russian,
I'm just fucking with you, man.
It's funny because I speak Russian.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm from Soviet Union. I speak Kazakh, Russian, and English. No,
Wow.
English is not good.
Your English is great, man. If I could speak Russian as well as you could speak English, I'd feel very accomplished.
Right now, 21,000 rubles is $345.
Wow. Thank you.
That's how bad the Russian economy is right now. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, they're bad. Yeah, I'm sorry. The cheapest option is 4.5 thousand euros. It doesn't matter, and the most expensive is 21,000 euros.
Okay, so tell me what is the difference between the options that they're giving you? Is it the physicians that are performing surgery? Is it the more use of more technicians? Maybe Joe could help answer this question because he has a little bit more intimate knowledge about this stuff, I think.
Well, they say
I
that
want to know what the question. Go ahead.
Procedure led by eugenics-trained doctors, planning, designing by trained doctors, slits, incision creation by eugenics-trained doctors, and implantation to be performed by senior eugenics-trained technicians. And this is the most cheapest one. The next option, for instance, is 7.2 thousand euros. It is led by senior eugenics-trained doctors, and so on and so on. Implantation, again, by senior eugenics-trained technicians. And the third option is procedure led by Dr. Arika Bonzal, and she does all crucial stages, and the implantation is by senior trained technicians. In the first option, eugenics trained doctors have experience is 3 to 5 years. In the second option, senior trained doctors is like 7 to 9 years. That's what they say. And then option with Arika Bonzal doctor, and the most expensive with Dr. Sethi.
I find that to be a little sexist.
Sexy?
I mean, Dr. Bonzal is great. What? Explain that to me, Joe.
Why should I explain it to you?
I don't understand it.
Why is that my domain?
That should be equal. If you're going with Dr. Sethi or Dr. Bonzal, it should be equal.
Sexy.
Not sexy, sexist.
Go ahead, May. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, and the consultant says that no matter what package you choose, the quality will be highest.
Well, of course he's going to say that. What else is he going to say? And like I work with this clinic, but I gotta call a spade a spade. It's like, what else is he going to say? No. You pay 1/7 of what it costs to go with Dr. Bonzal. You'll still have an excellent result.
Yeah, and why would
by that logic?
Why would anyone go there?
Anyone ever go with Dr. Bonzal? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. If only you are rich, very rich.
I've been criticized online because I criticize the doctors that I work with. That's life.
That's people. What I do. I've been doing that for 25 years.
I'm not here. I'm not being paid by these members of Hair Transplant Mentor to stroke everyone about how great they are. I tell people how great they are because I believe it based on my own experience, my own research, my own criteria, and the hoops that I make these clinics jump through to get me the information I need that you don't see other people asking for. Like, it takes months sometimes for these clinics to get me what I need so I can say, yeah, they're worth considering. But when I see stuff like this, yes, it doesn't matter which package you choose, the entry-level doctors or the senior doctor that started the clinic, it's all going to be excellent. That's a sales line. I'm sorry. That's a sales line. And I don't like that kind of stuff. And
well, here's the thing, Joe.
If the clinic isn't happy with me saying that, that's fine.
I'm going to interrupt
but
you.
I don't like consultants saying that.
There's only been 2 surgeons who we've accepted into the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, and that's Dr. Setti and Dr. Bonzal. I have not seen, and they have not presented any work to us from any of their trained doctors. And honestly, when they were accepted into the organization, they were much smaller than they are right now. And I haven't had the opportunity to see these, junior doctors or the sub-junior doctors or whatever the fuck is being talked about right now. So I can't speak to that. I can't speak to what the results are going to be. All I know is I have seen work from these 2 surgeons with their staff. And I've also spoken directly with patients who've had surgery with these 2 surgeons being involved. And really, those are the only 2 that I could possibly say. And we recommend them to the IHRS or accepted members. But if a family member came to me, I would say, you got to go with one of these guys. That's it. Now, with that said, it's going to cost you a lot more money. So I don't know, since they're saying that it's the same, then I understand why you'd be confused, because I would be confused. I would be like, well, if I only have to pay $5,000 or 5,000 euros, and it's going to be exactly what you're offering me, Dr. Setti, then that's the way I would go if I was just the average consumer. So I find it to be very confusing, and I think that I understand why you're frustrated. Now, that's not answering your question. That's not saying what you. I can't tell you what you need to do. All I can tell you is these 2 doctors are accepted into the IHRS, and as a matter of fact, we're making them co-scientific directors for this year's Global Hair Loss Summit. That's how much we respect them. But I have no fucking clue who these other doctors are.
Okay. It is still an answer, because you could say, because of infrastructure, because all these training programs, protocols, those trained doctors, they are the same, for instance, but you didn't. So I'm going to take it into the consideration.
They may be. The problem is I don't have a fucking clue. And to me, if they are, then this clinic would come to us and say, we want these doctors to be working at least as an associate member with the organization. We want the American Hair Loss Association, the IHRS, to take a look. And I'm pretty sure they would say the same to Joe. So that's all I can say, And Dr. Say, if you're watching this, or this is probably going to be sent to you by, one of our haters, we love you, man. You do great work.
Of course.
And so does your wife. But we have to be honest. That's why you're part of what we do. Go ahead, caller.
By the way, in the Asmed clinic, they also offering 2 options. Option A, everything is done, except implantation. Everything is done by Dr. Erdogan. And option B, it is almost everything is done by his team. So again, trained doctors. And the difference is, for instance, for me, for 4,500 grafts, it's the 13,000 euros, or it would be 8,000 euros for option B. Oh, no. But it is the consultants say that Dr. Erdogan, there is high chance that Dr. Erdogan will make incisions in your front line.
Well, what you don't want a high chance. You want to know if he will or if he won't.
Sorry, was this with the lower price package? They were saying it's still likely that he'll come in and he'll make the incisions for the hairline.
Yeah, yes, likely.
Okay.
It is likely.
Likely is, I understand likely, but I think that if that's something that you are looking forward to,
I think
writing. That you should ask for them to promise that, to get that in writing, where he'll do the front line, as you said, and then if you get the lower price package, then the technicians will do the areas in the mid scalp and anywhere else that needs to be addressed. But if the consultant is telling you it's likely, get them to promise that in writing that he will, not likely will, but will, because it's the discussion that's going on where I understand what's going on. They're trying to give you the idea that it's almost as good or it's just as good. But if the doctor might be involved on a certain part that you'd want him to be, and they're saying it's likely, then why not make it a fact? Like why not go ahead and commit to that if it's likely?
Let me ask you: if you were getting heart surgery, and there were two options, we're going to have the best doctor in the world performing your surgery, or we're going to have someone we just trained, and it might be as good. And the doctor who trained them may take a look and peek into the room and maybe, throw in a couple sutures. This is how you guys have to think. This is how you guys have to think about, this is real surgery. Now, with that said, I know that Dr. Aragon he has a fantastic facility. This guy really trains his staff in a way that very few in the industry do. They have a tremendous amount of time on tissue. And in general, because he's doing so many cases, he has a lot of happy patients. Now, he has unhappy patients too, like every other clinic, and he does a lot of volume. So, you're probably going to be just fine, but everything needs to be in writing. There's no ifs or maybes or, potentially. You ask for that paperwork up front, even your release forms. Sign that shit before you even fly to Turkey. Get all that stuff done. See everything in writing. You don't want to be, signing papers the day of surgery, in my opinion. And if there's anything that's a red flag that's not included, including the fact that he is, unless he gets ill or something, he's going to be there to create that frontal hairline for you, then the deal's off.
Yeah.
And again, there's another guy, I like this guy. He's really good at what he does. He has a great clinic. Outstanding. One of the best in the world, honestly. Now, there are people who, have had bad results, like with any other clinic, and who are very, they voice them, pretty, impactfully and profoundly online.
Vociferously.
Yes. But if you really think of the numbers that this guy produces, it's a very small percentage of unhappy patients. So, and I happen to think the guy, he's doing a lot for the field.
Agreed.
But we have to be honest, man. Get everything in writing. Don't take any consultant's word for anything.
It's just in my case, I'm not gonna do this. I'm calling to you because I just wanted to know your opinion.
Yeah.
But if you are so, if you are so, strict, maybe it is not a good word for this
adamant.
expression.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna take option A. And in terms of eugenics, I'm gonna take Dr. Arika Bonzal's option.
But here's the thing that I also want you to note
just
this.
1 second.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
I'm just sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
No, it's okay, man.
I'm just speaking in another language.
I get it.
And I can just lose my thoughts.
Go ahead, man. I'm just busting your balls.
It's okay, mate. Go ahead.
And because I have a problem. If I would be more how to say, I'm not rich, but I got some money for this. Yeah, but there are people who doesn't, and how to say, I jealous, not jealous. So I would like to be the poor guy who can only choose package 1, for instance, in eugenics,
right?
Because no choice, because it is still okay. It is still a good clinic. It is infrastructure and so on and so on. But I have a choice. And if you say something like this, you are so strict, then I will choose Dr. Erdogan or Dr. Arika Bonzal. So I think so.
Well, I just want to make this clear, and I thank you for that, and I'm glad you're able to get your thought out. And again, I'm just busting your balls. I do a radio show, and sometimes I just like to have fun, so never take offense to it, man.
I like it. It's so fun. One guy said in the chat, is this Borat with the nickname DH? I believe DH stands for dickhead.
That's awesome.
But I like it. it.
Good. I'm glad. Now, I want to make it clear that I don't want you to have to spend any more money than you have to spend to get the best possible results. So all I can do is speak to what we know. And unless this clinic, and it's possible that they can, sends us information about these other physicians, how much time on tissue they have, how they've been trained, how many cases they've performed, show us the cases that they've performed, then I can't go blind just because they're under the umbrella of eugenics. And I would say that most other people who have forums or run, these marketing websites and shit like that, they'd be like, yeah, it's all the same. Just, they're good. It's a good company, and I'm sure you're going to be fine. I can't do that. So when you say strict, I think really what I'm trying to do is just provide you with the information that I have. And the only information that I have is information on these 2 surgeons and their staff that they use. That's it. So I also don't want you to spend $21,000 if you don't have to. So, Joe, maybe you can help the guy. I don't know what to say at this point.
$12,000 for Dr. 12.6 thousand euros for Dr. Arika Bonzal.
And how much is Dr. Seti charging?
Oh man, just a second. Implantation crucial. Okay. 12.6 for Dr. Arika Bonzal does procedure, planning, designing, slits, incisions, crucial instructions, and 21,000 is for Arika Bonzal is also does crucial implantation. Yeah.
Okay.
It is almost twice more.
Twice as much to have her do the crucial implantation, which would be the hairline and temple points, or anything that's hairline related.
But I don't know, Joe. I'm getting confused here now. I mean, wouldn't they have their best techs doing the crucial implantation anyway? That have a lot of experience.
Well, okay. So there are situations where, like in this, there's a huge discrepancy between having a senior technician place the grafts into the incisions that she made versus her doing it. And when you have when you have a price discrepancy like this, where it's double the cost of the surgery just to have her place a percentage of the grafts, not all the grafts. She's not doing all the grafts. She's just doing the hairline grafts. That's kind of designed to keep you from asking her to do it, because the technicians are actually probably better at it. When you're in a situation where you have a large team,
it's a very
of
good point, by the
way, and one doctor, you have a skill set that each part of the team excels at better than other parts of the team. And when it comes to placement of grafts, it is almost always the case where the technicians will not just be better than the doctors at placement, they'll be much better than the doctors at placement. For instance, Dr. Jerry Wong, my own doctor, arguably one of the best on the planet for the past 25 years. He will tell you before you even finish the question, there's no way in hell I can place grafts as good as my technicians. That's what they do all day, every day, day in, day out, without fail. They do it with his guidance, the way that he trained them as far as what's important to consider in mind. So when it comes to a situation like you're going to a eugenics and you got these different options, but you see such a disparity in pricing where the doctor does the crucial placement versus one of their senior technicians. It's always a senior technician. It's kind of funny. But she is in charge of making the incisions. That's designed to get you to choose the technician. Because who in their right mind... I know who would choose her to do everything for the A package. I get it. And that's those people that can afford to have her do it. And they're anal. They have this thing where it's like, well, I feel better with the doctor doing it. I get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in my view, if I know that the technicians that are working on me are the ones that have been there for years and they place the grafts on all the great results I've seen that got me to the clinic in the first place, sign me up. Technician placement. No problem with that.
Yeah, that's a
Every
good point.
graft on my head has been placed by a technician, not by Dr. Wong.
There's a I don't know if it's a saying, but in general, most physicians in this field will say that their technicians are much better placers than they are. They just don't have enough time on tissue. Again, I use that, placing grafts. So unless there are, I don't know, 40 or 50 people a month going for package A, she's not placing a lot of grafts. Does that make sense?
It does.
Caller, did we lose you?
It does.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. And Morty, thank you for the advice, Morty. Fucking Yenta.
On that note,
Morty.
I have a dinner to get to. We need to wrap this up.
Oh.
I'm going to be viewing a piece of technology that has not been unleashed on the public yet. Kind of looking forward to it.
All right.
So May, if you have more questions,
yeah, call next week.
You can call us next week. We'll be here next week, and you can let us know what you've decided, or if you have more questions, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Okay.
All right, man. Listen, good luck. Again, there's no rush. Surgery's going to be there. You're moving in a good direction, and you're doing your research. And in general, I mean, eugenics, while it's an interesting name to me, it's they produce really great work. But I just have to be honest. The only two doctors that I have seen, or the patients that I have seen, are the two senior physicians who own that clinic.
Yeah, and they just 1 minute if you have.
Sure.
They made a video, something like busting myths that cheap packages don't provide a good result. But the video was not so how to say, didn't sound much. They just said that they are trained, we have infrastructure and so on and so on. And in between, in this video, they presented results before and afters, but it would be logical to present results of before and afters made by those trained doctors.
Mm-hmm.
But they still provided before and afters made by doctors, these two doctors.
Well, that's interesting.
For instance,
that's interesting.
Carol from Ireland, the famous case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He chose the most expensive package. And why do they put his before and after in this video?
That's a good question that you could ask them. You know,
yeah. I already asked the consultant, but he didn't give me any logical answer.
Well, it's probably unlikely that you're going to get a logical answer for that. A lot of that has to do with just pure marketing, and they have, people who are editing their videos, and they may not even be involved in that aspect of things. This is what I can say.
Okay.
Both of these doctors are very good at what they do, and they really care about their practice. They've helped a lot of people. They are relatively new to the game, meaning that I've been around for so long, everyone's new to the game. But we decided, and I essentially decided, to make them our scientific directors for the Global Hair Loss Summit this year. I have a lot of respect for the work that they're doing and what they're bringing to the table for the entire field. So, in general, you're going to be in good hands.
When's it going to be?
It's December 17th, December 17th and 18th. But Joe is about to shit his pants right now. We got to go. So call next week.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
All right, brother. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, mate.
Bye.
All right, callers who are holding on. Sorry, Joe's getting really antsy. He's got to go. He's looking nervous. He's yawning. There's all kinds of shit happening. It's giving me anxiety. So you guys can figure out. You guys can figure out all the websites. They are listed on Joe Tillman's channel, which is youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. It is the hair transplant channel. If you're listening to the show, check it out, subscribe, like the show. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.